your darling.
Welcome to Dose of Dork, your sometimes weekly source of short content when we don't feel like doing a full episode.
Yay!
/ can't possibly schedule everyone to do
No,
a full
it's
episode.
crazy. Yeah.
My name's Amy. I'm joined today by Selena.
I need like a tagline. Like, you know how...
That's your tagline.
No, hold on. Like,
You're out
you know
of time.
how Carmen...
You've already
Whatever.
taken too much time.
Okay.
Coco.
Selena should get good and get her own tagline.
Yeah.
And our special guest, Shay.
She doesn't need a tagline. Wow!
Selena just stole my tagline.
What's your tagline?
Her own tagline.
Oh my god.
Just deletes me.
Sorry, no, I just think it's funny to like make shit fun of, make
Shit fun.
Shay of fun. Easy.
No one help her. No one help her.
Easy destroy Shay. Kill Shay.
Is that what
words?
Is that what
Dalek
you're
now?
like?
So witchy.
Yes. I was just going to say kill a robot. That's perfect.
Yes.
All right. So it is Oscar season. Everybody is talking about one thing in particular.
The Oscars.
Yes.
Wow.
But I'm thinking of a specific movie that is up for Best Picture. What do we think of Black Panther being nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
It's the most
Isn't it
important
like
movie of
the
2018.
first superhero movie that's actually
It is.
for
It's
Best
the
Picture?
first. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Which brings up, do you think that there are other superhero movies that should have been nominated?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay, that is up for Best Animated Feature.
But it's fucking good. But yeah, it's...
It is good.
Okay. Then I'm
Then
okay
that's
with
fine.
that.
But
I'm okay
think
with
about
that.
this way, The Dark Knight was never nominated. And that's an amazing
Wow.
movie.
So The Dark Knight was good, but The Black Panther was better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but think of at the time when we had The Dark Knight. That was like a cinematic experience and a superhero movie.
This is true.
Because it was like dark and gritty and did it in a good way, as opposed to all of the superhero movies now that are just like dark and gritty because they think that sells tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's been a lot of superhero movies that I've had a lot of particularly entertaining times with, but I just generally don't feel, unless there's like interesting introspection or like particularly creative art, that a movie should be up for Best Picture. For me, Best Picture movies are movies like Moonlight, where they have like a completely creative approach to like, you know, like they have a really creative approach to like what the story is. Everything about it was like beautiful. I could talk about it for a very long time with like my friends and partner. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as it fits that criteria, it's fine. And like with Black Panther, like I feel like there was a lot of discussion that you could have about it.
Yeah.
Well,
There
that's
was a
what I
lot
want
of
to ask.
introspection.
What do you think is like one thing about Black Panther that makes it so it deserves to be nominated? Like, what is one thing that stuck out for you that makes it such a wonderful film?
I just, like, I can't imagine how fucking excited black people were watching that movie. Like,
Yeah.
Shay, like I, a white person, was like so stoked. Like I was like, oh my god. It was a really interesting thing for me when I went and saw it, is like, I was so jacked because I was all of these like amazing references to like traditional African cultures, like in terms of the dress of like background characters in the movie. And I was like, this is so great. This is very cool. And then, what's his name?
Killmonger?
Shows up. No. The white one.
Oh, the agent.
The South African one?
The Hobbit. Bilbo Baggins shows up.
Bilbo Baggins. Yeah, Bilbo Baggins shows up.
Martin Freeman?
Yes! Martin Freeman.
I knew his name, but I was
Bilbo
committed
Baggins,
to.
Martin
No.
Freeman.
Like, as soon as you said Bilbo Baggins, like, I knew his name was Martin Freeman, but I liked that you said Bilbo Baggins, so I stuck with it.
Yeah.
So, like, he shows up. I was shook. I was like, what is a white person doing in this movie? Like, when there was the white villain, I was like, yeah, checks out.
I love that it was a kind of a fake out villain, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Oh, yeah, fake out villain. Like,
Because
fake
it
out.
would have been too easy.
Oh,
It
yeah.
would have been too easy. Yeah, but like, yeah, it was a fake out villain. But yeah, like, when I see white bad guy, I was like, yeah, that's fine. But then when I saw like predominant white character, I was like, the hell? Like, and I was like, that's so I don't know. That just really, like, shook me because that's never a thing that as a white person I've had to, like, think about. And, like, to, like, be surprised to see someone who looks like me. And it was kind of a reverse perspective. So it's, like, different than a representation perspective. But it was very, like, that's good. Like,
well, I mean,
that's very good.
realistically, the only reason he was in the film is because for continuity, they need him for, like, the future MCU movies.
Yeah.
Because he's very important to the MCU universe.
He got sidelined in, like, the most wonderful ways. Like, when he tried to talk when they were up in the mountain. Ah, fuck, we're spoiling it at this point. All right,
Yeah.
so when he tried to talk when they were up in the mountains...
Spoilers!
Yeah. Gave you a moment to run away. And then everyone just, like, starts barking at him. And he's like, speak again, and I'll kill you.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. I think my favorite part of that movie wasn't just that it was, like, centered around blackness, but, like, the different ways that they integrated it in, like, very typical ways, or, like, very, like, like, stereotypical ways. Mm-hmm. So, like, their traditions when it came to leadership, and, like, the dance they were doing, and the garments that they were wearing.
Oh, yeah, the modern depictions and, like, understanding of tribalism. So cool.
And then the instant scene after it, where it's like, yes, you saw them all in, like, this, like, very traditional garb, but that's not it. Like, they're all wearing...
And then you see Wakanda, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, like, the relationship between, like, nativism and, like, returning to your roots, and then kind of versus, like, the idea of reaching outside your culture. Like, when we saw Killmonger's dad outside of the... Like, that was a huge kind of thing for him growing up, was he had knowledge of this, like, black power... You know what I mean? And like
that he wasn't experiencing.
This pull towards wanting to go back to his roots that he never experienced or got to live. Yeah. And I feel like probably for a lot of black people have, like, what do I know, but like probably have that experience where they have secondhand knowledge of their culture, but they can't quite reach for... So what do you think?
If I can make a teeny tiny complaint. So the one thing I didn't like about this movie was the way that they positioned black revolutionaryism comparatively to, like, isolationism when it came to black nationalism. Yeah. And the way that they, like, portrayed, like, revolutionary approaches as, like, inherently super violent, can't be, like, supportive. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but if we do want to support them, we have to do it in, like, this hyper-capitalist way. Yeah. And that's the only complaints I'm going to make about it. Like, there's a lot more to say within that, but, like, it's that specific vein of thought.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, realistically, most people who are in the Oscars voting pool are probably not getting super in-depth.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Selena, I think it's a really cool take on.
Yeah, I think... So, I actually saw an article today, I can't remember where, and there's someone in Hollywood who is arguing that... Black Panther was only nominated just to be, like, the token black film. What do you think about that?
No, it was objectively really good.
But there's never been a superhero movie ever nominated for Best Picture before. And now that there's one that's predominantly a black cast.
You know what? It probably...
But it's better than all the other superhero
movies. I totally agree. But, like, devil's advocate, like, this person, I'm sure other people who are inside the whole Hollywood sphere are like, oh, well, this is just nominated because...
I feel like that that kind of story tries to undermine the validity of that movie. Yeah. Right? So I would be cautious of stories like that. What could be true is that because it was such a huge cultural moment, like, people were crazy about this movie, right? Everywhere.
Oh, yeah, they're re-showing in theaters for Black History Month.
Yeah, it could just be that... Nice. Like, because it was so culturally influential, they had to include it. You know what I mean? But, like, I just think it's, like, really dangerous to say, like, that it's because it was, like, also a black movie. I don't know.
If someone wants to look at it where it's like, it's been it's a token, like, you could just be like, but they already did a token with, like, Moonlight, so they don't have to do this all over again.
And Moonlight was about being, like, it had, like, the story was queer, but it was also very black. Yeah. It was a very small story about a very singular experience. Like, I don't know. I feel like with Moonlight, they had to include it because it was a beautiful piece of art.
I think you could say that about Black Panther, too.
I think
agree.
They're both wonderful.
It's visually, like, just beautiful. And, like, the costumes, like, it's nominated, I think, for 7 Oscars.
Nice.
Because there's so many things that it does so beautifully. And, like, I have a little bit of a background in anthropology, and, like, seeing, like, the traditional outfits or, like, inspiration used. Mm-hmm. So cool.
Yeah.
And also the juxtaposition of like this super technologically driven city and then just like, you know, these parts of Africa most of us will probably never be to because they're considered so remote. Like, it's just so interesting. There's so much more behind everything than we realize. And I think that's a really cool, just like basic concept that you don't get done very well in some superhero movies.
Yeah, it was cool.
So do we think that Black Panther's going to win?
I would hope so.
Oh, it's not going to.
It better.
Who else is up against it?
Whiter and whitest?
The Green Book, right? Roma.
What even
Whiter.
are those movies?
Roma?
No, I'm sorry. My response to you was whiter, and whitest.
I think Roma's up for
I thought it was up for
foreign film.
Best Picture.
Best Picture, we have Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Black Panther, Black Klansman. So we have 2 Black-centered movies.
Well, there you go. Fuck
Green
the token
Book.
logic.
Green Book is
Vice, A Star is Born, and Roma. So we've actually got like a really good, diverse, like...
I don't know which one's going to win.
I would actually be kind of sad if Bohemian Rhapsody won.
Yeah.
I don't want A
considering the
Star
issues
is
it had.
Born to win. I just, no. I've heard The Favorite's great, though.
It's great.
I actually really want to see
It was
that.
a really...
Also, Black Klansman. Just the idea of
I
it.
need to see
I haven't seen
Black
it.
Klansman.
It's supposed to be based on a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Which
it
is like really cool.
But
Yeah.
I think we're all hoping that Black Panther is going to do really well.
I think it would be like a really great kind of way to change the way that we view great movies. You know what I mean? Like when we think about Oscars, we think about like stuff that critics like.
Yeah,
It'd
you
be
almost
really
never
great
see
if
like
we-
comedies, superhero movies, action movies,
Yeah,
and some of them deserve it.
It's often like small movies that didn't get big theater
Yeah.
or release or like a huge cultural phenomenon. It's actually like after they win the Oscar that they get it.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool to see how much like just the fucking sheer amount of people that love this movie, how much that is going to play into whether or not we can appreciate the movie. Because I feel like the Oscars are a little bit like hipstery, where they're like, oh, this is too popular, that means it's not good.
I agree. I'd like to see more popular pop culture rep.
I feel like they're dismissed because they're funny or because they're actiony or because they're
superheroes.
If they're not
Totally
in drama.
agree.
Honestly, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse
Fucking amazing movie.
could have been nominated for Best Picture. Like, I was
I keep hearing
great
that. Some
film.
people, a lot of people are saying it is their favorite superhero movie of all time.
Oh, it was my favorite superhero movie.
I
I've
haven't
ever
seen it yet, so I can't speak.
It
But
was really
Yeah.
good.
but I'm gonna
Yeah.
hold out hope for both of them because I think that they are superhero movies. They're really good. Deserve it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it. So we will be checking out the Oscars when they come out. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll do an episode about our reactions to the winners.
Oh my god, you guys, we should have an Oscars party. That'd be fucking sick.
That'd be good.
You guys are not invited, listeners. We're not telling you where our fucking house
Our
is.
address is the middle of the United States. Good luck. Have fun with that.
It's the center of the United States.
The exact middle.
the center of the polar
Google
vortex.
Maps. You'll find it.
Well, for myself, Shay, Coco, Selena, and Tech Wizard Tyler, thank you for listening. You can go check us out on all of our platforms. We are on Instagram and Facebook at Darling Dorks Podcast, and at Gmail, we are at darlingdorkspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time. Bye!
See ya.
Bye! Yeah, but like, the favorite was pretty good. It's fucking interesting. Okay, so I'll go...
The Darling Dorks podcast is produced by Fourth Wall Creations, forgetting when the Oscars are since 2015. Music for Darling Dorks was made by Showbiz, who are releasing their debut album Illusion this upcoming spring. Thanks for listening.